Lucille Ball was in the middle of the most important scene of her career when a 23-year-old production assistant committed career suicide. She walked directly onto the set of I Love Lucy during a live taping, past the director who was screaming at her to stop, past Desi Arnaz, who looked absolutely stunned, past every single rule in television history, and she pressed a pink envelope into Lucy's hand. The cameras were rolling. 400 people in the studio audience gasped. This was March 15, 1956, and you did not interrupt Lucille Ball when she was filming ever. But Margaret Chen, this young PA who'd only been working at Desilu Studios for 3 weeks, didn't care about the rules anymore, because 30 minutes earlier, she'd answered a phone call from a woman in Ohio who was sobbing so hard she could barely speak. That woman's 8-year-old daughter had maybe 72 hours left to live, and the little girl had one dying wish that nobody could make come true. Except Margaret was about to try anyway, even if it destroyed her career. Lucy stopped mid-sentence. The laughter in the studio died instantly. She looked down at the envelope in her hand. Pink construction paper, a child's handwriting that was shaky and uneven, like someone had written it while they were in pain. The return address showed Cincinnati Children's Hospital Oncology Ward, room 347. Lucy's hands started trembling before she even broke the seal. Inside were 3 pages covered in careful pencil marks, some words crossed out and rewritten, some letters backwards the way young kids write when they're concentrating really hard. At the top, in bigger letters than the rest, were 4 words that would haunt Lucy for the rest of her life. Please read this now. Lucy looked up at the audience, at Desi, at the cameras. Her face had gone completely white. And then she did something she'd never done in 15 years of performing. But what that letter said, and what it revealed about the girl who wrote it, would break Lucy so completely that she'd never look at comedy the same way again. Keep watching. 30 minutes earlier, Margaret Chen had been doing the most boring part of her job, sorting through fan mail in the production office. Hundreds of letters came in every single day. Most of them were requests for autographs, marriage proposals to Desi, complaints about storylines, standard stuff. Then the phone rang. Margaret almost didn't answer it because she wasn't supposed to take calls, but something made her pick up. Desilu Studios, how may I? The woman on the other end was crying so hard, Margaret could barely understand her. Please, please, I need to speak with Miss Ball. My daughter Sarah, she's dying. She has bone cancer. The doctors say she has days, maybe a week, and she wrote a letter. She made me promise I'd make sure Lucy Ball reads it before she... The woman's voice broke completely. Before she dies. Please, I'm begging you. Margaret had been trained to politely redirect these calls. Celebrities got requests like this constantly. There was a process, a publicist who handled these things, forms to fill out. But something in this mother's voice made Margaret freeze. What's your daughter's name? She heard herself ask. Sarah. Sarah Mitchell. She's 8 years old. She's been watching I Love Lucy every Monday night for the past year from her hospital bed. It's the only thing that makes her smile anymore. And she wrote Miss Ball a letter explaining why. But I can't just mail it. There isn't time, the doctor said. The woman dissolved into sobs again. Margaret looked at the clock. The show was filming in 20 minutes. She made a decision that would either get her fired or change everything. What hospital are you at? Can you read me the letter over the phone? Patricia Mitchell read every single word, while Margaret wrote furiously on the back of script pages. Her hand was shaking so badly, she could barely hold the pen. When Patricia finished, Margaret was crying. She never cried at work before. Never. I'm going to make sure Lucy reads this, Margaret said. Right now, today. I promise you. She hung up, grabbed the pink construction paper from the children's craft supply closet they kept for visiting kids, and carefully transcribed Sarah's letter, word for word, in the best imitation of a child's handwriting she could manage. Then she walked onto that set, knowing she'd probably be fired within the hour. But some things mattered more than keeping her job. What was in that letter that made Margaret risk everything? The answer is something Lucy never saw coming. Stay with me. Lucy sat down right there on the vitamin counter, still in costume, still wearing the ridiculous oversized apron from the scene. She didn't ask permission, didn't walk to her dressing room. She opened that letter in front of 400 strangers and 20 million people watching at home. The studio had gone so quiet, you could hear the camera equipment humming. Desi walked onto the set slowly, his face full of concern. He'd never seen Lucy look like this. Scared, vulnerable, human. "Dear Miss Ball," Lucy read out loud, her voice already shaking. "My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm 8 years old. I'm writing this from my hospital bed in Cincinnati. I have bone cancer, and the doctors told my mama I'm going to die very soon. Maybe this week, maybe next week, but soon." Lucy's voice cracked. She kept reading. "I'm not writing to ask you for anything. I'm not asking you to visit me or call me or send me a picture. I know you're very busy and very famous, and you probably get letters like this all the time from sick kids. But this letter is different. This letter is to tell you something important that I don't think anybody has ever told you before." Tears were already forming in her eyes. The audience was completely frozen. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was something else entirely. Something real and raw and terrifying. Lucy looked back down at the letter. "Miss Ball, you saved my mama's life. Not mine, hers. See, when the doctors told us I had cancer, my daddy left. He just walked out one day and never came back. The social worker said some parents can't handle watching their kids die, so they run away. My mama didn't run away, but she stopped smiling. She stopped laughing. Sit next to my hospital bed and hold my hand, and I could see she was dying inside too, even though she wasn't sick like me." Lucy's hands were shaking so badly now that the pages were rustling. But then something changed. Every Monday night at 9 o'clock, my mama wheels a television into my room, and we watch her show together. And for 30 minutes, my mama forgets I'm dying. For 30 minutes she laughs like she used to laugh, before everything got terrible. She laughs so hard. Sometimes she snorts. And then I laugh because my mama's snorting is the funniest sound in the whole world. And when my mama laughs, I'm not scared anymore. Because if my mama can still laugh, then maybe dying won't be so bad. Maybe if she can still find joy, then there's still joy in the world, even after I'm gone. But what Sarah wrote next is what absolutely destroyed Lucy, and it's why she did what she did next. Don't go anywhere. Lucy's voice was barely a whisper now, as she continued reading. "The nurses here all love your show too. Last week when they had to amputate my leg because the cancer spread, I was so scared I couldn't stop shaking. But Nurse Jennifer sat with me the night before, and we watched the episode where you get stuck in the freezer, and I laughed. Even though I knew they were going to cut off my leg in the morning, I laughed. That's because of you, Miss Ball." The audience was openly crying now, not politely dabbing their eyes, full sobbing. Desi had his hand over his mouth. Vivian Vance was standing in the wings with tears streaming down her face. Lucy wiped her eyes, smearing her stage makeup, and forced herself to keep reading. "I told the Make-A-Wish people I wanted to write you this letter. They said I could wish for anything, Disneyland, meeting a movie star, anything. But I said no, I needed you to know what you did, because I'm going to die, Miss Ball. Maybe in 3 days, maybe in 7, but I'm going to die and my mama is going to have to live in a world without me. And that scares me more than dying scares me." Lucy looked up at the audience, her face completely broken. "She's more scared for her mother than for herself," Lucy said, her voice cracking. "She's 8. Lucy looked back down, tears falling onto the pink paper. "I won't be here to make my mama laugh anymore, but you will be. Every Monday night, you'll be there in our living room, making her laugh. And that means part of me will still be there too, because when she laughs at you, she'll remember laughing with me. So thank you, Miss Ball. Thank you for being there for my mama when I can't be anymore. You didn't save my life, the doctors can't do that. But you saved hers, and that's bigger than anything else in the world." Lucy couldn't continue. She pressed the letter against her chest and made a sound that was half sob, half wail. Desi rushed over and knelt beside her. "Lucy, honey, she's thanking me." Lucy gasped out between sobs. "She's dying, and she's using her last wish to say thank you to me for making her mother laugh." Lucy looked at Desi with wild, desperate eyes. "I don't deserve this. I'm just a comedian. I just put on funny costumes and make stupid faces. That's all I do. And this little girl thinks I'm—" Her voice broke completely. The director started to approach, but Vivian Vance stepped in front of him and shook her head firmly. No, this moment was happening right here, right now. Lucy stood up suddenly, still clutching the letter. She looked around wildly, Where's Margaret? The girl who brought me this. Margaret stepped forward, terrified. Lucy grabbed her by the shoulders. Where is she? Where's Sarah? What Lucy did next shocked everyone in that studio, and it would change the course of her entire life. You need to see this. Cincinnati Children's Hospital, Margaret whispered. Her mother's name is Patricia. Sarah's in room 347. The doctors said she couldn't finish. Lucy turned to the director. We're done. Cancel the rest of the taping. Lucy, we can't just said we're done. Lucy's voice cut through the studio like a knife. She looked at Margaret. Call the hospital back. Tell them I'm coming. Tell them I'll be there tomorrow morning. Lucy walked off the set, still holding Sarah's letter. The audience didn't know whether to applaud or sit in silence. Most of them just cried. Lucille Ball showed up at Cincinnati Children's Hospital at 6:47 a.m. on March 16th. She'd taken a red-eye flight, hadn't slept, was wearing a simple dress and headscarf. No makeup, no entourage, no cameras, just Lucy carrying a small bag and that pink letter. The nurses at the front desk didn't recognize her at first. When they did, one of them gasped. You're Lucille Ball. Room 347, Lucy said. Sarah Mitchell, where is she? She found Patricia Mitchell, sitting outside room 347, looking like she hadn't slept in days. When Patricia looked up and saw a seal ball standing in front of her in that hospital hallway, she made a sound like all the air had left her body. You came, she whispered. You actually came. Lucy sat down beside her. Tell me about Sarah. Everything. They talked for 40 minutes. About the diagnosis. About Sarah's father disappearing. About Monday nights being the only time Patricia remembered what hope felt like. She's sleeping right now, Patricia finally said. But she asked about you this morning. She asked if you got her letter. Can I see her? Lucy asked. Patricia's eyes filled with fresh tears. She'd like that. They walked into room 347 together. Sarah was so small in that hospital bed, so pale. But when Lucy walked through that door, Sarah's eyes opened, and despite everything, Sarah smiled. What happened in that hospital room over the next 20 minutes would haunt Lucille Ball for the rest of her life, in the most beautiful way possible. Stay with me. Lucy sat on the edge of Sarah's bed and took her small hand. I'm real, and you're the bravest person I've ever met. I'm not brave, Sarah said softly. I'm just trying not to make Mama sad. That's what brave is, sweetheart. Lucy reached into her bag. Brought you something. She pulled out the actual vitamin bottle from the show. The real prop. This has been on our set for 3 years. And I want you to have it, because every time I film now, I'm going to remember you. I'm going to remember the little girl who reminded me why I do this. Sarah's eyes went wide. I can keep it forever, Lucy said. Then she paused. Sarah, can I ask you something? Okay. Are you scared? Sarah thought for a long moment. Sometimes. But mostly, I'm just sad I won't be here to take care of Mama. She's going to be so lonely. Lucy's voice broke. Your Mama is the luckiest woman in the world to have you. Sarah smiled. Miss Ball, yes, honey. When I go to heaven, I'm going to tell everyone up there that you're a really good person, so they know. That's when Lucille Ball completely shattered. She leaned forward and wrapped her arms around Sarah as gently as she could, and she cried deep, body-shaking sobs. Patricia stood in the corner. A nurse peeked in, saw what was happening, and quietly closed the door. Lucy held Sarah for 20 minutes, not talking, just being there, just being present for this little girl who'd used her dying wish to say thank you. Lucy stayed in Cincinnati for 3 days. She visited Sarah every morning and every evening. They watched I Love Lucy reruns together. Lucy did all the voices, made Sarah giggle despite the pain. She met every single child on the pediatric cancer ward. She paid for treatments the hospital staff wouldn't tell her about until years later. And she made a promise to Sarah that would change the rest of her life. Keep watching to find out what it was. Sarah Mitchell died on March 28, 1956, holding that vitamin bottle. Lucy didn't film for a week. When she came back, something fundamental had changed. She started a private foundation that funded pediatric cancer research for 33 years. All anonymous. Every year on March 28, she visited a different children's hospital. No cameras, no press, just Lucy showing up, making dying kids laugh. Lucy never spoke about Sarah publicly. But people close to her said that letter changed everything. After Sarah, Lucy stopped treating comedy like entertainment and started treating it like medicine. She understood that somewhere, someone was watching who needed to laugh more than they needed their next breath. Here's what people don't understand about March 15, 1956. It wasn't special because Lucille Ball cried on television. It was special because an 8-year-old girl taught the funniest woman in America that comedy isn't about making people laugh. It's about giving them permission to keep living when everything hurts. Sarah used her dying wish to say thank you. Lucy spent the rest of her life trying to be worthy of it. If this story touched your heart, hit that subscribe button. Share it with someone who needs to remember that what we do matters more than we know. Drop a comment about a time someone's joy saved you. Because sometimes making someone laugh isn't just comedy. It's survival. It's hope. It's love.